Alright, so I caught a nice win on NASDAQ this morning. Passed my Apex 50K funded with this one trade, and I'm going to do a recap of it. So, going into the day, we're at all-time highs still. I'm looking at the daily chart, and I was watching this daily fair value gap that was left open, and I was thinking that possibly we could open the week, move down into this gap, and then continue higher the rest of the week. So I was long-term overall bullish, but I was thinking maybe we could possibly see a retracement into this daily fair value gap. But I was doing my high time frame analysis. I marked out this 4-hour fair value gap right there. Saw that we respected this 4-hour fair value gap here. We're reacting out of that. So I wasn't totally sure how it was going to play out. It was more of a situation where I was going to have to react to what the market did. So 15-minute chart, this is kind of where I get a little further into the analysis. So we're out, like right here is pre-market. Obviously you can see it happen now, but going into this, we were drawing down. Overall, long-term, I liked that we had these highs, relative equal highs here left untapped. And I knew that we'd want to take those at some point this week, but I didn't know if we'd want to pull down all the way into this daily fair value gap or react off of this internal sell-side liquidity sweep, 4-hour fair value gap, and just react off that. And I've learned as a trader at this point, sometimes there's going to be a situation where you clearly see what you want the market to do. If it happens, you act on it. If it doesn't happen, you stay out. There's other times where there's some different possibilities that could happen. You just kind of need to see what the market does in certain places and react to that situation. So this is one of those moments where you're either going to pull down further into this daily fair value gap, or we were going to make the reversal right here. What I needed to see to actually act on this was some reason to make the reversal. So we had the sell-side liquidity sweep, we had the 4-hour fair value gap. What really made me realize that this was a place for possible entry was the SMT that we put in with ES here. So if you look at ES at the same time, ES did not sweep this low and did not tap this 4-hour fair value gap, creating a bullish SMT. Once I saw that, I was ready to look for my entry. Also, another confluence was the midnight open. So let me mark that out. Midnight opens right here. So if we look at the daily profile, midnight open, we move up, we come all the way back down into this area below the midnight open, and then we see when we didn't go under it at all since the open, we come back to it. There's a good chance we could bounce off that if there's other confluence that align with it. And if we look at ES bounced off of it to the tick, came back to the midnight open, to the tick, and then bounced from there. So that was another confluence that I added into this trade. Now for the actual execution on the 1-minute time frame. Alright, well there's a candle missing, but we'll figure it out. There's the liquidity sweep. SMT was put in. We also had a low time frame SMT with these lows here with ES. That was an SMT. If we look at ES, ES made equal lows here, well, NQ swept this low. So that's another low time from SMT, another added confluence to the entry. And then what I look for entry is a change in the state, inverse for value gap. If I get both, that's better than having one or the other. This is the change in the state level. We had for value gap here, inversed. So on this candle that's missing, that was actually my entry candle. Let's turn on the executions so we can see where I entered. Okay, yeah, so actually, change in state was made, but we closed all the way up here. That was a little bit high for me. So I wanted to wait for retracement. We had a fair value gap formed here. Come on. Okay, fair value gap formed there. I put a limit order right at the top of that fair value gap, waiting for the retrace into there. And that was my entry. Right there. Stop at the lows. And then I targeted a 2 risk to reward. Now, something I had to do with my model, a lot of times there will be, so there's not really any internal liquidity besides this high right here. Once this high was taken, we had respected this fair value gap, made another little low right here inside of it. So once we swept that internal liquidity, I moved my stop loss to break even. Just want to take the risk off when I could, because this was also, if we look at it, we were going into a bearish 15-minute fair value gap here. So once that internal liquidity was swept, I just wanted to take my risk off, because it was possible that that 15-minute bearish gap could be respected and we'd move lower from there. So stop and move to break even at that point. No other internal liquidity besides that, so you'd really be targeting these highs, which we see were hit. But I've found, just throughout trading experience, when 2R is on the table, that's enough for me, and I like to just take it, because sometimes, although this is the draw, that is where price should take, sometimes yes will take it and Q won't. You'll get an SMT, so then you'll get well into profit, and then it comes all the way back. And I like to just take 2R if it's on the table. That's just how I trade. So 2R was the target. We can see right there, profit was taken at 2R. So pretty simple trade. I mean, this went way beyond my take profit, but I don't worry about it. That's all I need is a 2R win. It was enough to pass my Eval account for Apex 50K. And I was done right as the market opened. That New York open candle actually hit my TP. So pretty simple trade. High time frame liquidity sweep, high time frame SMT, 4-hour PD array, and then my execution is a change in the state, inverse fair value gap off of the liquidity sweep. But none of that matters without the high time frame narrative. This happens all the time. How many times do you see inverse fair value gaps changing the states throughout price action, but it doesn't matter unless you have high time frame context to back it up. You'll get killed if you don't. So that's a review of the trade. Pass the account. Good way to start the morning. This is my first video. Maybe I'll make some more. We'll see.